All right, good morning. We're going to call this meeting of the TRPA Operations and Governance to order. The date is Wednesday, February 25th, and it is 8:34. First item on the agenda is roll call to determine a quorum. Maria, please.
Ms. Hebert. Mr. Bass. Ms. Holloway.
Here.
Ms. Hill.
Here.
Ms. Lane.
Here.
Mr. Rice. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I'll now go over the remote and in-person meeting rules for the day. Remote committee members, please raise your hand to speak and mute your microphone unless speaking to help cut down on the background noise. I'd like to ask that all remote members turn on your camera if you are able. Remote members may not use the chat box to make any comments or to have sidebar conversations. If you're viewing the webinar on a personal computer in the room, please ensure that your microphone and speakers are turned off to prevent audio feedback. Members of the public who have joined us in person, please raise your hand at the appropriate time for public comment. You will be called on to speak in front of the room. Committee members who are in person, please raise your hand if you wish to comment, state your name, and speak clearly into the microphone in front of you. If you're viewing the webinar on a personal computer, please ensure that your microphone and speakers are turned off to prevent audio feedback into the room. The first item on our agenda is public comment. This will be public comment on items listed on the agenda. Any member of the public wishing to address the committee on the agenda item, please raise your hand now or in person. You can click the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen or by dialing *9 on your phone, and you will be called on and unmuted by a TRPA staff member. Are there any members of the public wishing to address us in person? Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, members of the Operation and Governance Committee. I'm Laura Padden. I'm the Natural Resource Director at the Leak to Save Lake Tahoe, or Keep Tahoe Blue. I'm really just here to say that we strongly support the proposed 2026 watercraft inspection fee schedule that's before you today. With the discovery of golden mussels in the Delta and the continued threat of aquatic invasive species, maintaining a strong, well-funded inspection and decontamination program is really essential to protecting Lake Tahoe's clarity as well as the recreation economy. We especially appreciate the simplified decontamination structure, and particularly the discount for vessels that actually arrive clean, drained, and dry. That staggered approach really creates a clear incentive for responsible boater behavior while also ensuring that the program can sustainably cover the costs of those mandatory decontaminations, which we will continue to support. Keep Tahoe Blue is proud to support this work through our Eyes on the Lake program, our Aquatic Invasive Species Defense Team volunteer program. And really, we are going to continue to support this program through education and outreach, including this fee structure, and continue to really enforce that clean, drain, dry messaging. We're also working with the California legislature to advance additional statewide prevention efforts because we do believe that, protecting Lake Tahoe really starts beyond the basin as well. So we encourage the committee to recommend approval to the full governing board. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there other members of the public in person that would like to address the committee? If not, may we go online, please?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised to make public comment.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and close the public comment period. And we'll move to item number 3, approval of the agenda. Mr. Cox, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and deem the agenda approved as posted. We'll move to item number 4 now, which is approval of the minutes. You will find these in your packet starting on page 11. Do any members of the committee wish to make a change? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Thank you, Ms. Holloway. There's a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 5, which is discussion and possible recommendation for approval of the January financials. This item can be found beginning on page 65, and I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Cox for his presentation.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thanks. This is Chad. I'm your finance leader for the agency here. Hey, starting just a couple of highlights. As a staff, we've been working through what's called our annual state reporting for the state of Nevada. We package up our audited financials, the annual report that y'all have in front of you for later today, as well as an analysis that helps to kind of split our figures between both states. And there's a letter that comes from Julie and Devin to the state of Nevada. So we're finalizing that. That's due at the end of the week. We hope to get that out tomorrow on Thursday. So that's an area of progress. So looking forward to completing that activity. From a financial perspective, revenues are at 51% of the budget. I'll get into more detail in a moment. So we're tracking well. And then expenditures are at 11.9 million, which is 38% of the budget. I'll get into that as well in a little more detail. Comps on track, and we'll continue to see our contracts cruise up as grants are implemented. So jumping over to the next slide in detail. When you look at this slide, we break our revenue down by all of the sources. We've talked about this before. A couple of them are complete, and that makes sense in the timing for the state and local revenues. Those come in early. The big change versus the last time we got together to discuss is we had our second quarter grant invoicing completed in January, which is now at $3.2 million fiscal year to date, which is up around $1.8 million versus last quarter. So good progress. The team continues to work through grant implementation, the contracts associated with those and invoicing. So the next step up in grant revenue will be in our April financials when we look at them in May, and then we get a big chunk of that through at the end of the year in July as we complete our fiscal year. So that looks to be on track. Everything has been invoiced that can be invoiced. Our team is back to full staff. We had Julia out on maternity leave, but she's back. We got all the transportation invoicing in that we could, and that is a good jump and is up actually a bit versus where we were at the same time last year. The other two items that are on track, as well as rent revenues, right at 58%, which is right on 7/12 of the year is complete. And then the other revenue, which is mainly driven by our investment income, we booked our quarterly LAIF interest income, and that brought us right on pace for the year. So with that said, it looks good from my perspective. Do you have any questions on the incomes?
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Are there any committee members that have questions so far? No?
Great.
Seeing none. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's jump over to expenses. 11.9 of expenses through January. We did have an uptick in January. I think I told you back in December, we only ran one AP run because of the second half of December, that 2 weeks the office was closed. So we caught back up in January. We had $2.3 million of expenses incurred, and that was both through standard accounts, accounts payable for contracts and other things like utilities. Plus compensation is right on track where we'd expect it at 57% of budget through this portion of the year. So yeah, stuff looks on track. Other is slightly, it looks slightly behind, but we will spend that down as we finish up the year. There are a handful of projects we're still working on for the facility. We did get our gym more or less completed, which is good. Employees have started to work through that, and it seems to be landing well, and the employees are excited. And yeah, one thing to note on this slide is mitigation expenses. I talked to you in January about items being approved, and well, they were approved in the past, but they've gone out in January. So we saw about $900,000 go out in January in that mitigation expense bucket, which was for projects with South Lake Tahoe, street sweeper project, Bijou, and Pioneer Trail Pedestrian Park. So those went out, which is great. And I do think in either next month or April, we'll be bringing some more mitigation projects to y'all for approval. And I think Tracy's working on those currently. So that's good. Mitigation expenses and income are relatively in line, which is like what we like to see. Any questions on expenses? Cool. One more page on the numbers here. And so from a cash flow perspective, the agency received $1.8 million in receipts in the month of January, which was driven by those grant invoices. Some of those come in quickly via ACH. So the main driver was grant invoices, grant invoice receipts and fee income. We spent $3.3 million in disbursements, like I said, for payroll and contracts, which resulted in a usage of cash, which is what we would expect at this point. We'll use down that balance. We still have a $6.2 million cumulative cash flow through January, and we'll spend that down through the remainder of the fiscal year. As you can see, the dash lines represent past years, and that, you know, that's kind of the trend we should see from here on out. Okay, one more page. I wanted to share and address some of the comments we've been receiving about our budget. Kind of a separate item here, not necessarily looking at actuals, but more at budget. You know, we've heard some comment around, hey, the TRPA budget has ballooned or increased a lot since the pandemic, since 2020. What I wanted to show you is how that increase breaks down between general fund revenue and grant revenue. So what this chart attempts to do is to break that down. So the solid gray bar captures the general fund, and the white bar captures the grant revenues from a budgeted perspective. So just to give you some data here, general fund revenues have been up 4.5% annually over the last 6 years. So increasing, but we know exactly where. A lot of that's been driven by planning fees. We've had inflation adjustments on those planning fees per our rules of procedures. And we've also just been busier. Stuff's been busier in terms of volume and count of permits. So that's one of the main drivers. We've also seen our investment income go up since interest rates have gone up over the last 2 fiscal years. And then the third thing is the Nevada and California contributions have increased since 2020. Nevada came up to its 1/3 share in there. We got an incremental funding for a scanning enhancement project that we're working on. And then both states gave us incremental funding for salary increases in the last fiscal year. So those are the drivers of why the general fund's been up. When I think about grant revenues, though, those are up almost 3 times where they were 6 years ago. We've gone, or it's 2.7, but we've gone from $6 million in grants up to $17 million in grants. And those are driven by the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act, those funds being available to go and spend. We've also seen things like the CalSTA grant for transportation, and then some housing grants, the REAP and HIT grants. And sorry, I don't know the acronyms off the top, but we've just seen more project implementation in the basin, which is great. So anyway, I wanted to share this with you because we've had some comments. So just trying to drive some clarity here, and happy to answer any questions you have on this slide.
Yeah, thank you for throwing this one in and for clarifying that. That's helpful. Are there any committee members that have questions at this time? Anybody online with questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cox. I think, you know, as everybody says, the grants are helping all of the different agencies survive, but they're not sustainable. So really appreciate how you broke out the general fund from those grants.
Totally. And the way and that's why we talk a lot about contracts and grants together. We don't staff necessarily at the level to implement the grants. We usually bring on partners. So as those ebb and flow, it doesn't necessarily impact. We're staffing kind of at a level excluding grants, and we implement those grants with third parties.
And
go ahead,
Madam Chair,
Ms.
if I may, just to build on Chad's excellent report. This is Julie Reagan, TRPA's Executive Director. Really appreciate that walkthrough because we wanted this committee to see that differential. When those that aren't as familiar with the very complex nature of how our budgets are structured, it looks like we are in this, upward climb. That white part of the graph, that is the grant related revenue. I mean, most of that is going to project implementers. That is going to aquatic invasive species work all over the basin, in the Tahoe Keys weeds. We recover our cost for supporting that, but most of that is implementation money that we as a fiscal agent through the Restoration Act and partnerships with the Forest Service, the Conservation District, all the many players in the environmental improvement program. And so that is really important to understand. And the Restoration Act is a direct result of Team Tahoe's work to get annual appropriations from Congress that support that as the federal share. And then there's other state monies that support those and other public funds. And then in that general fund, there's a number of sources, as Chad so pointed out so well. The filing fees, we're trying to get to cost recovery, which we still haven't even gotten yet to 100% cost recovery. The state contributions, if you look over the last 20 years, are very flat. Only in recent years have we been successful, thanks to our Nevada delegation and our members of the board, really pushing in the governor's office, in the legislature, to get Nevada back to its 1/3 share. So that was a huge achievement a few years ago. And then we've had just only a couple cost of living adjustments to support increasing salary costs. But by and large, those state appropriations are pretty flat over the last 20 years. And that's an issue because our costs will continue to grow and those state contributions aren't growing at the same rate. So I wanted to flag that for this committee. That's something we're talking about structurally for our budget as our costs continue to grow. How do we work through the state appropriations when our two states are struggling, and when with their bigger fiscal issues. So just wanted to put that on the table. And I really appreciate Chad's good work to give you a deeper dive into the budget.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Reagan. I think all of that just really helps to put this into context. Thank you for that. If there's no other questions from the committee, I'll accept a motion to recommend approval to the board of our January 2026 financial statements.
I'll go ahead and move approval.
Thank you, Ms. Holloway. There's a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bass,
Yes.
Ms. Aber, Ms. Aber. You've got some noise in the background. Thank you. Ms. Holloway,
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Rice, Mr. Rice, I see-
Yes, I couldn't unmute. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lane,
Yes,
your motion passes.
thank you. Okay, that brings us to item number 5B, which is discussion and possible recommendation for adoption of the proposed watercraft inspection fees for the 2026 season. And I would like to invite Mr. Boos to present this item.
Good morning, Madam Chair and
Good
members of the committee. My name is Tom Booz. I am the AIS Prevention Coordinator here with the TRPA, and I'm presenting 2026 watercraft inspection fees proposal. The purpose is the TRPA code requires the governing board to approve the fee schedule on an annual basis. We recommend the board approve the proposed fee schedule. I'm also going to provide you a brief update from the 2025 season. And with all presentations, you're supposed to have an icebreaker or make a joke. I don't have a joke, but I have this amazing map. This is hot off the presses from our GIS team. The black lines indicate all the boats that have come to Lake Tahoe in the 2024 and 2025 season. The last water body that they visited is the endpoint coming to Tahoe. The orange indicates states and provinces that have invasive mussels in them. The white are the very few states and provinces that do not. So what this map tells me is there's a lot of risk out there and a lot of these boats are coming to Lake Tahoe. It's really cool. There's 3 boats that are zipping off the left-hand side of the map coming from Alaska. So our job is to assess risk, and part of that assessment is determining where the boats are coming from. Some states are east of the 100th meridian, which is like the east side of Montana and Colorado. Most of those states are infested with mussels. So we kind of lump that whole state as infested just from a risk perspective, because we always don't know how hard states are looking for mussels. In the West, people are looking really hard, not always the case. The exciting part about this too is we gather all this information from a database that we're connected to all the Western states that are tied into this. California is getting tied into it. So that's how we have all this wonderful data. That's pretty wow, right? Yeah, all right. So if you recall, last year when I was in front of you, we have a new threat, the golden mussel. The map that you're looking at here is what the extent of the infestation looked like in March of 2025, very close to Lake Tahoe, cluster in the San Joaquin Sacramento Delta. So a lot of things have happened since then. Golden mussels are the closest threat we have from a mussel perspective. Tahoe is at greater risk with this than quagga and zebra mussels because they can tolerate lower calcium levels. Lake Tahoe is a very low calcium level lake. They can survive in our lake. They reproduce faster than quagga and zebra mussels. They're just flat out worse. The majority of the watercraft that we see at our stations, 90% of them have visited a California water body. So that risk of golden mussel coming to us is real. The next map indicates where we're at today with spread. So the cluster up at the top has grown exponentially, and then it's traveling south through the California aqueduct. The good news is that there's been no evidence or discoveries of an infestation outside of these connected water bodies. So there's no evidence of overland flow, meaning education and prevention and boater behavior is potentially working. A little bit of an update on the season. Last year, we implemented mandatory decontaminations, and I want to thank the board for approving the fees last year to help us implement these mandatory decontaminations. It essentially doubled the workload. We used to decontaminate about half the boats because half of the boats arrived clean, drain, and dry. So there was no need, there was no risk. The fees approved last year helped us staff one more person at each station to manage that workload. And we've been doing this for 17 years, 18 years here at the TRPA. We have a lot of expertise, and our expertise was sought after last year when California was trying to figure out how to react to this discovery. We worked with other water managers and state agencies to help develop their golden mussel task force plan. Some of the results from last year, our inspections were very similar to 2024, and that number hasn't really changed much the last few years, right around $5,000 or 5,000 inspections. The decontaminations doubled, as I mentioned, due to that protocol change to assess to deal with that risk. And I really have to give credit where the credit is due. The great team at the Tahoe Resource Conservation District rose to the challenge, mobilized into action quickly with a new vigor to protect the lake. They've always been great, but this threat is real, and they just shined. I'm so proud of them for everything that they have done. Another huge aspect of last year was outreach and communications, and I'm going to point to Mackenzie Cook over here, our education and outreach specialist, as well as the communications team. There was a lot of work last year to roll this out and try to educate people, and I'm going to get into a lot more details about this. We intercepted 73 vessels with aquatic invasive species, so not just mussels. 12 of those were quagga and zebra mussels, and one of them was a golden mussel. And the picture on the right is Seth underneath the boat where we found the one golden mussel hanging on that drive shaft. It's very odd that we find a mussel on a boat. If we usually find dozens, hundreds, or evidence, but this was just one solo mussel hanging out where on that drive shaft. So outreach and partnerships was the key to our successes last year. The focus was on the non-motorized paddling community because we don't have a touch point with them. All motorized boats come to our inspection station. We can educate them there, but non-motorized audience can launch from anywhere. So we really needed to ramp up our efforts with that because they're the hardest to reach. A big part of that is the Tahoe Keepers program. It's a stewardship program, voluntary program where you watch a video, you take a quiz, you become a Tahoe keeper, and that it's instilling clean, drain, dry behaviors every single time you paddle. We have 8,351 Tahoe keepers, 837 of those registered last year. The average over the last 15 years is 556, so almost 300 new people because of these efforts. We also have excellent nonprofit partnerships with the League to Save Lake Tahoe and the Tahoe Fund. The League to Save Lake Tahoe implemented a chance to win, which is a lottery or a raffle where if you become a Tahoe keeper, you enter into a drawing. We had a drawing at the end of each month and then a grand prize drawing at the end of the year. I feel like it was super successful and fun. People like to win things. It really drove that the registrations. The billboards that you see, oh, sorry. Can you go to the next one? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, the Tahoe Fund helped fund 4 billboards for along major highways coming into the basin. We had a lot of TV press, both local and regional. The Tahoe Environmental Resource Center developed an interactive exhibit, and our team was very instrumental in putting that together with them. They have a kayak and a life jacket and float tubes, and it's the middle picture here. And it's basically teaching people how to clean, drain, dry. And then in the foreground of that picture, there's a web app that they created that helps you walk through how to look for invasive species and then how to address those. So we look for mud plants, animals, and water. It's a really cool app. We're going to put this out at our Meyer station for the season and see how people react to that. But it's a really nice interactive tool. We had a direct mailing to 96,000 voters based on the zip codes of the highest visitation to Lake Tahoe. And Mackenzie tabled 25 events interacting with 2,400 people. And lastly on this, which I'm the most excited about, is we have a massive uptick in social media recruitment and engagement. That's the way to reach people these days. And Mackenzie is just shining at that. She's so stellar at it. She's creative. It's fun. I recommend going to our channel to look at the Valentine's Day post. It's very clever. Can you just quickly give an example of one of them? Oh.
One of the Valentines is my love for you is like a New Zealand mud snail. It just keeps multiplying.
That's my joke, or that's her joke. Thank you. Next one. So in 2024, when we discovered New Zealand mud snails in 2023, we recognized that non-motorized community was a gap in our outreach. We hired 2 roving inspectors. Roving inspectors comb the beaches. They walk around and interact with people that have non-motorized watercraft, teaching them how to clean, drain, dry, teaching them about aquatic invasive species. It was so successful in 2024 with the 2 people. We hired 4 last year. We have Leland, Mackenzie, and Tom up here. If you recognize Tom, he won an award a couple months back, a silver, I forget the name of it, but regardless, they're all excellent. They interacted with people at 30 different beaches. They each worked 107 days. But the most incredible stat up there is the one on the right, 17,400 interactions. It means they reached out to 17,000 people that we normally wouldn't reach. That's a lot of people. They inspected 100 non-motorized watercraft. They sent 78 of those non-motorized watercraft to the inspection station because they were deemed to be high risk, meaning they were coming from the Delta or somewhere else where there's known mussels. They also inspected 99 e-foils, which are motorized, so they need to go to the inspection, but because they're hand launched, easily transported, they can just go to any beach and launch. So that's a huge role that these roving inspectors have. These people are amazing stewards. They work so hard. Leland on the left was a watercraft inspector in 2024, and he wanted to become a rover the next year because he thought it would be fun, and he's really good with people. At the end of the season, we had a debrief with the rovers. And we asked him which job is harder, and he said, hands down the rover, because it's all day interacting with people. At the stations, if people don't show up, they hang out, do things. we seek people out. If a beach is quiet, we drive to the next one and look for people. And so incredible stewards. I can't thank them enough. And I'm really excited to see how this season goes with the Rovers. Next slide, please. So another huge effort is signage. The sign that you see on the right is "We clean, drain, dry, do you," and you can see the images of all the different people interacting with the water, that non-motorized watercraft. And so the goal of this is to build a sense of community duty and social pressure. These signs are posted as people are walking from their car to the water. Grab them. It's a unique government sign, in my opinion, trying to grab people, get their attention, and hopefully draw kids in, because there's cartoons of what they're going to hopefully be doing. We installed 113 of those around the basin, and there's still 49 that we're working with landowners to get those up this season. So 162 total. The positive thing about this is we ask people through Tahoe Keepers and through the boat inspections how they learned about Clean, Drain, Dry or about AIS. Signage is slowly ticking up through this effort, and I imagine it's going to continue to go up. So with that, I'm going to talk about the fees proposal. So our operational changes that we implemented last year are not going to change. We're going to do the same thing, mandatory decontaminations. We are not proposing to increase sticker fees. We're going to restructure our decontamination fees to address the golden mussel threat as we should, and just simplify the system so it's easier for the staff and public to understand. The proposal reflects the costs associated with performing decontaminations following the EIP model of private and public partnerships, and our program is funded through fees, state and federal sources. And the fees that we're going to hopefully approve today keep pace with the expenses of this double workload. So what we are proposing: simple watercraft, $60, complex watercraft, $100, and there's no change to boats that have attached mussels, $350. So water intake systems pose the greatest risk on motorized watercraft. It's the engine, it's bilge pumps, it's things that draw water up from the lake, and there could be latent water sitting in them, which poses a risk. So that's our focus. So a simple watercraft has 1 to 2, complex has 3 or more, or ballast systems. The beautiful part of this is if you arrive clean, drain, dry, we're going to give you a 50% discount from that $60 and $100. Purpose of modifying this is to, last year we were in reaction mode, emergency mode, trying to figure out how to deal with this new threat. This is just an adaptation of what we've learned over the last year. Changing the mindset to a reward-based structure versus punitive. We've always been punitive. If you didn't arrive clean, drain, dry, you're going to pay for it. Well, now we're flipping that, trying to instill boater behavior even more than we usually do by having this incentive. So everyone likes a discount, just like they like free things at a raffle. It's enhancing that long-term goal of changing behavior, because that's what we're all about. We have evidence that incentivizing boaters to arrive clean, drain, dry works. It used to be about 1/3 of the boaters arrive clean, drain, dry. In the last 6-7 years, it's been about 50%. We're hoping that climbs with this effort. So the motion for this agenda item is recommend the governing board adoption of the 26 watercraft inspection fee schedule. And I'm happy to take any comments or questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there questions of committee members in the room? Do you have anything?
I just want to say thank you. Great presentation. I can't support you enough in the efforts of education. I think in so many things that we do in the region, information, education is first and foremost, because people generally, I think, want to do the right thing, right? When they come to Lake Tahoe. So kudos to that. I think that will and has shown a great impact in the program. One question I did have on the clean, drain, dry, and this is going to show my ignorance in going through the program, so I promise I will do that.
Okay.
But how is that determined when a boater gets to the station?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our inspectors inspect. They go through a boat head to toe, top to bottom, front to back, and look for mud plants, animals in water. So they climb up into the boat, they lower the engine, they look at the anchor. And if we find mud plants, animal or water, it's not clean, drain and dry. It's pretty simple. Challenging sometimes, but that's the concept. And then from there, with our database, we document what needs to be decontaminated. So we're always going to decontaminate those water intake systems. And then if there are other things that are not clean, drain, dry, we decontaminate those as well. Does that help?
Thank you.
That's a great question. Are there any questions of committee members online? Okay, seeing none. My question is with regards to the rovers. Did they find any AIS on any of those vessels that they?
I don't believe
at?
they did. It's more of just the mud plants, animals and water. I mean, that's what we look for because those are vectors to spread, but that they didn't find that I'm aware of anything hanging out on a kayak or paddleboard.
Okay. And if you took last year's numbers and you applied what you're recommending this year with the discount, and given our staffing needs with the RCD, does it work?
Yeah.
Do we have to subsidize part of the program or?
No, so if you're in the staff report at the very end, it'll show the fee structure we had last year for decontaminations. It was 2 steps, complicated. We did make some money last year from that to offset the costs, which is the goal because it is expensive and time consuming to do this. And we fully anticipate that we have the budget to succeed this year as well.
Okay, great. Well, and I too want to thank you for all your outreach and for your enthusiasm. It shows. And our partner, the RCD, they are so proud of the work that they do around this. And I think it's that enthusiasm that has really made this program successful. So good job.
They keep me
Good
going
job.
every day.
Yeah. Well, and I get it from you too.
Yeah.
I feel that energy. So it's great. All right. If there's no further questions, we'll bring this back to the committee for motion. Motion looks like it will be to recommend to the governing board that we approve the 2026 watercraft inspection fee schedule. Is that a motion?
I'll move approval.
Thank you. Okay, there's a motion. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, may we take a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Aber,
Yes.
Mr. Bass,
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Holloway,
Yes.
Mr. Rice,
Yes.
Ms. Lane.
Yes,
Madam Chair, motion passes.
thank you. All right, that brings us to Mr. Booth, thank you.
Thank you.
Good presentation. That brings us to upcoming topics. Item number 5C, Mr. Cox.
Great, thank you. Chad Cox, TRPA Finance Lead for the record. Just going through the upcoming items. We got a little echo here. Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, so real quick, we'll go through the financials again in March and April. We'll bring you a treasurer's report potentially in April. I think Tracy's working on some programs to come back to you for mitigation fund approval. And then in May, we're planning to do our governing board retreat, and we'll bring you a first pass at the committee prior to a first pass of the proposed budget. We'll bring to you what we're thinking for the year, aligned with a first pass at our annual work plan, which will then, have some discussion, further refine, and bring back for fiscal year 2027 budget approval in June. So that's what's upcoming.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any committee members that have questions about the upcoming topics? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to committee member comments. Are there any comments that committee members would like to make at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to our final public interest comments. You may address the committee on any item listed or not listed on the agenda. Are there any members of the public present in the room that would like to address governance and ops at this time? say? Seeing none, we'll go online, please, Maria.
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised to make public comment.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and close the public comment period. And I will now accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thanks, Ms. Holloway. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we stand adjourned 9:15. Transportation Committee is next.